see you again.
It's good to see you. Now we think we got a good program for Shandaken.
Good. Shandaken. How's the weekend? Oh, he's here.
There he is.
Nick Timoy, nice meeting you, Nick.
Where's our assigned seating?
No, any questions that are going to come up?
We're trying to stay far out of the way.
Nobody's I don't think anybody knows.
Is it still administered by you getting the seat?
Yeah, the program.
Yeah.
Just throw the.
Yeah. And we're recommending septic maintenance,
Right.
which is some real advantages to number one, you don't have to set up user fee. And I mean, and you never will have to have a user fee as long as you manage it. You get the entire grant. You get well, three we usually do. Initially,
You're
as you
pumping,
learn
nobody
about
climbs in the tank and hoses it down. You said clean.
I know.
Like, I mean,
it's a relative term, right?
yes it is. Pumping out does not mean that tank is
Yeah, all right, Jeff, thanks, man. I got look at that straight now. I'll be holding you to it. The guy said clean. But that's, yeah, every 3 years they go in rotation, so, yeah.
Yeah, and then as you learn more about the system, operate more. Some places need more pumping more than that.
Right.
Lots of them need pumping less than that.
And then if they still have cesspools, they replace them.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything gets all
We budget for replacing every one of them, but you only do the ones that need it, and you hold the rest of them.
Okay, I'm sure that's something you want to
Interest-bearing account.
Yeah. Okay.
Operate.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have to have an area where a group of people can go to an area.
Right.
If it get a lot of failure.
No,
The only one that's not
yeah, it depends on
ESC
design, but
would be the first one. In the
there are
summary, which is the
several
last.
lots, up to 19, that just aren't
But I'll know
able to do it on the
This
lot.
is mine.
So then the other two are.
Based
So what
on,
happens then? Because
well, we got a community area set aside. But our little innovation is that there'll be a septic leach field set aside for each place in this community area,
we talk about the
which will get us away from having to call
Yeah,
it
and I guess
system.
whatever.
Community system or a wastewater plant.
Right.
Because
You have to charge that.
Yeah. Now, is there like a minimum size lot that you use for a community?
Yes, there is. It depends on the soils in the community.
Oh, so certainly.
Yeah, we've looked at the soils map and we've deduced with the
Small. Yeah.
Not to sit up there.
So we didn't make
a good septic system.
Yeah.
I
Relatively.
need to talk about the main one.
So it's
You don't want to take a lot of risks.
Yeah.
It's a little overwhelming.
We're gonna go through it. So there is like, so you got an area there that you can do.
Yeah, the area that the city will provide across the street.
Where? Right over here in, by Fort.
No, it's right on 28.
Yeah.
There's another little area off 28. It's got really
ordered my real.
So really it has a lot to do with the soil as far as that,
Oh,
yeah.
they'll be on.
There's a lot of
Next
soil.
one.
You can't get any water.
Yeah. And what is that, clay? Yeah, clay.
They're all set.
Then you can also have two soils too bad.
Yeah.
It's just pure
Like
gravel.
Yeah.
Or porous.
Yeah.
And you don't get any treatment.
Yeah, so it just runs right through, yeah.
But those, you can bring in some slower.
Oh, you can actually get to
It's a lot better to have too fast than too slow.
yeah, because we ain't gonna loosen it up.
Yeah, it's
Chop things down there and hope for the best.
It's open mic night tonight.
Oh, we can be an audience member tonight.
Yes.
Yes, right. Yep.
Town board
So,
right now.
It's mentioned, the contract's out, so I gotta just have to program it. Contracts, I haven't heard anything back since.
And then we just gotta get, so now we just.
Yes, which is coalition, so we're not gonna have first.
Okay, all right. So I have a call with Hillary on Friday.
I see they're doing wastewater tests and stuff. What? I don't know.
I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it right for you.
It was in the past, some of the communities are gonna be doing wastewater.
You got, you know, like choo-choo shortly.
Like Tom Stalter did.
Yeah. And that building's gonna be campaign. So many people were interested. It's gonna be good. Yeah. So many more people are interested. Yeah. Kids where they could go, they're a little inexperienced, they don't feel the need. And then well, you have to down board here, isn't it, or not?
Down board.
You guys,
I'll text you.
Okay.
okay. You
Keep
got,
this whole thing. Oh, my God, yeah. A few years
you
old.
look a little younger now.
Yeah.
You must be running for something.
Still more.
You want to come in and learn about?
I know you.
Yeah,
Hi.
Yeah, I'll text Gail. She might have forgotten. Or she
Well, that's
might
right,
have
all your meetings are televised.
Wait.
Yeah, so they'll play it. You're going to put it on replay and get it out there. I'm sure Jay's going to write about it tonight.
Yeah. So is Jay? Jay's not, doesn't come, he just watches it on TV?
Yes.
I've never seen Jay at a meeting.
Oh, he could. I've
Never seen Jay at a
12
meeting.
years. He was back then, didn't he? We did.
I know, he's a couple
8 years, I've never seen him.
Jay Brady, he's that before.
You guys ready?
You know, I was calling you on that.
Yeah, that was an interesting Hi, folks. Welcome to Shandaken Town Hall. We have a special meeting, presentation by the engineers, Lamont Engineers, here tonight to talk about the possibility of forming a septic maintenance district, sewer district within the confines of, somewhat the confines of the Hamlet of Shandaken, basically around the intersections involving Route 42 and Route 28. I'd like to welcome everybody that showed up tonight. If you take a moment, we can rise, pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So again, we have a special meeting to get the word out there about what the plans are about. We certainly welcome comments from the public once it's all presented. I look forward to hearing any comments you may have back to us. So with that, I will introduce Tim Cox from CWC to start off our presentation.
Thanks, Rob. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim Cox. I am the attorney and legal department of one at the Catskill Watershed Corporation up in Margaretville, New York. My job is to do a little bit of the introductory tonight and explain how we got here and what the funding is. CWC is a not-for-profit local development corporation. All 39 towns, including the town of Shandaken, are members of CWC and elect the majority of our board of directors. So everybody knows we live town of Shandaken is in the New York City water supply. My house in Shandaken is in the New York City water supply. Because we live within the boundaries of the New York City water supply, we're subject to some special rules. The city of New York gets their drinking water from the reservoirs, which is a surface water supply. It's not wells that you drill down that have different set of rules for it. For surface drinking water supplies, Congress back in 1986 passed an amendment to the Safe Drinking Water Act that said all surface drinking water supplies have to be filtered. Now, a filtration plant would cost the city of New York, today's dollars, probably around $12 billion to build it, a couple $100 million a year to operate it. And what happened after Congress changed the Safe Drinking Water Act is in 1989, EPA came out with the regulations for what us lawyers call the Surface Drinking Water Rule. Again, said that all surface drinking water supplies have to be filtered, but you can get around it with a filtration avoidance determination, or what's called a FAD for short. The criteria for a FAD basically are you've got to be able to control the activities within your watershed such that it's not going to cause any contamination to the surface waters. So in 1990, the city of New York came out with a draft set of regulations. Those draft set of regulations were pretty draconian. And by draconian, I mean no septic systems within 500 feet of a water course. No agricultural activity within 100 feet of a water course. You couldn't have a cow, you couldn't have a horse, you couldn't have a barn anywhere there. If your septic systems went bad, so sorry, it's on your own. Any wastewater treatment plants in the watershed, be they municipal or private, would have to be upgraded on their own dime. And the city of New York grudgingly offered to upgrade their own drinking, their own wastewater treatment plants. So that was in 1990. The towns looked over those regs and reacted how we all hoped they would, which is everybody got together and banded together and formed a coalition of watershed towns. And looking over to making sure my memory was right on the old watershed regs proposal, I found a New York Times article that featured a quote from former town supervisor Mary Numhay back in 1990 to the New York Times, talking about how bad those watershed regs drafts were going to be. So 1991, Coalition of Watershed Towns was formed, and they sued the city of New York on what most people would call some legal technicalities involving the Administrative Procedures Act for the state and the city, and gummed up the works. Such that when Governor Pataki was elected, things were still gummed up. He grabbed everybody by the short hairs, tossed them in a room with his general counsel, and started working on a deal. And Kevin, about the 10th or 11th hour, I think it was, through the environmental groups in there after a deal had been worked out. Such that in 95, late 95, an agreement in principle was worked out. Took another year and a half to get the language right. And in January 1997, the New York City Watershed MOA, or I'm just going to call it the Watershed MOA, was signed by all 39 towns, 5 counties, 8 villages, 9 at the time, the city of New York, the state of New York, a bunch of environmental groups, and the Federal Environmental Protection Agency. CWC was also formed out of that memorandum of agreement, and out of that watershed MOA, the city of New York agreed to fund programs to offset the watershed regulations, and the watershed regulations that were ultimately agreed to were not what was originally proposed. They were a lot less, allowed people to stay in their homes, allowed the septic systems to be repaired or replaced if they failed, and you didn't have to bring everything up to current state standards. CWC was formed to manage most of the watershed MOA programs, as well as give the locals a voice on that program, and finally to reduce adult unemployment within the New York City watershed. Everybody who was on the board at the time of the Coalition of Watershed Towns in '96 came over and made up the first board of directors on CWC. Although we get most of our money from the city of New York, I can honestly tell you, after negotiating a whole lot of agreements with them, they do not give us the money out of the kindness of their heart. Quite the opposite. All our programs are conditions of this filtration avoidance determination and a condition of the land acquisition program, so that if they don't fund our septic program, they have to shut down the land acquisition program, and they have to talk to the state and the feds about whether or not they have to spend $10 billion or more on a filtration plant. So most of you know us for the watershed MOA programs for our septic program, which we fund the repair or replacement of septics across the watershed. On average, about 300 a year. Per priority areas, if you have a home within 700 feet of a water course and your septic is failing or you're having problems with it, call our office, 845-586-1400. Talk to a staff member. I promise you, as a lawyer, I won't get involved. I slow up the works. But we can certainly help out with septic systems. We also do economic development loans for businesses throughout the watershed. Have quite a few here in the town of Shandaken, both some restaurants in Phoenicia outside the Hamlet, Peekamoose over to Oliveria to Full Moon Resort. We have quite a few loans in the town of Shandaken with businesses. So if any businesses are interested in a loan, call that number again, 845-586-1400, and talk to our economic development department. So one of the other programs in the watershed MOA was the new infrastructure program. The MOA listed 22 communities that were eligible to get wastewater funding. This list of communities was not chosen by New York City DEP. It was chosen by the towns, and primarily the counties. In Ulster County, it was really the Department of Health that worked with the towns, that looked through and came up with the communities in Ulster County that really needed some help with wastewater solutions. Shandaken, the hamlet of Shandaken at Route 28 and 42 is number 18 on that list of 22. That is why we are here tonight. We have also completed wastewater projects in the CWC has in Pavina Center, hamlet of Delancey out in town of Hamden, Delaware County, Bloomville, then in Delaware County, the hamlet of Hamden in Delaware County, hamlet of Boyceville, next door in the town of Olive.
Not in Delaware, in Green County.
In Green
I mean, Ulster County.
Yeah, in Ulster County. Ashland up in Greene County, Trout Creek in the town of Tompkins in Delaware County. There's going to be tests later, Rob. Lexington in Greene County, and town of Southport, and the hamlet of Southport, right, which is actually in the town of Stamford in Delaware County. Those projects have all been completed. Primarily, they've mostly been community wastewater projects where all the homes, most of them get a small septic tank, but the septage, the gray water, goes into giant leach fields, giant absorption fields on other property. So, community wastewater program, Shandaken last year had agreed to participate in the program for the hamlet of Shandaken. There are a couple phases. We are here tonight because the first phase is done. That is the study phase. And the study phase, what the CWC did was we hired a consultant, Lamont Engineers, for these to work with us on these communities. They looked at the hamlet of Shandaken. They looked at the lot sizes. They looked at the soil maps. They did some soil testing, and they completed a very thick report on what would be the best wastewater solution for the hamlet of Shandaken. Lamont engineer staff is going to explain that. It's going to be primarily a septic maintenance district is what is proposed, with a few of the properties going to off-site leach fields. The town of Shandaken, under our funding agreement, has 90 days from getting the study phase report to say yay or nay on behalf of the hamlet to decide whether or not to move forward. That is not the town's last say in moving forward on this project, because our next phase is the pre-construction phase, in which Lamont Engineers is going to go through and is going to design a fix for the most beleaguered septic systems in the hamlet of Shandaken, and also design the septic systems that would go off-site to some off-site leach fields. And during that pre-construction phase, the town would also have to form a septic maintenance district, and it is the town board's option whether or not you just form that septic maintenance district or put that out to a district vote, similar to how Town of Olive did it for the hamlet of Boyceville. After the pre-construction phase would be the construction phase. In this phase, that's where the construction happens. In Shandaken's case, that is where the most serious septic systems would be repaired or replaced, and that is also where those off-site systems would be constructed. Before moving into that construction phase, the town of Shandaken Town Board would have one last opportunity to vote yay or nay on moving forward into the construction phase. After the construction phase is complete, there is the operation and maintenance phase. At that point, the town would get a block grant sum of money to manage the septic maintenance district into the future, to put into an interest-bearing account, to pump out the septic systems on a given schedule, and to repair or replace any septic issues with the remaining septic systems in the hamlet. That's the program in a nutshell, and history in a nutshell. I'll turn it over to Lamont Engineers. Unless anybody's got any questions about CWC, the process moving forward in general, happy to answer them.
One question, why move it from just the CWC doing septic replacement systems to a system-wide issue?
That's a conflict.
Well,
We'll demonstrate that during.
yeah, let me, and it was,
Let's explain what we're doing.
your question is it why not just continue with CWC's septic program?
Yes.
A couple answers. Number one, under the New York City watershed regs, if you make any, I think it's substantial change or change to the use of your septic system, you have to upgrade your septic system to current state standards. That's under the current watershed regs. We're working hard to try to lessen that a bit, but for instance, if you're a restaurant and you want to add a back deck and add 5 or 10 seats out there, the city of New York considers that a change of use because you are increasing the use of your septic system, increasing the intensity of use, and you have to then upgrade. Also, our septic program, we do not have where you can combine people's septic systems together and put them off-site. The only way to really do that is through a septic district that is formed by the town.
And because of the small parcels.
Yeah, you cannot fit compliant septic systems on those small parcels, and on some of those really small parcels, it's hard to fit a septic system, period. And while there may be a solution that an engineer could come up with, really the right solution is to try to combine on those really small parcels, combine that leachate, combine the good stuff coming out of the septic tank all together, put them off-site on a leach field, get it treated right, and those homeowners don't have to worry about a soggy backyard. Yes,
What
ma'am.
you're saying too
Well,
is that if you, say, like you said with a restaurant, if you wanted to add 5 tables or whatever, you'd have to upgrade your system. So you're saying with the septic maintenance district, you don't have to, it'll just still hold that much?
Under a septic maintenance district, some of those costs could be borne by the district itself, and the cost of the system is, there's a couple answers. If the system isn't compliant now, the program can bring them up to current state standards. Also, if you're going off-site, depending on how much flow is going into that off-site, there are ways to measure it on the actual flow and apply some different standards versus an on-site septic system. You're under a different set of regs. Yes, ma'am.
Is it also true for individual homeowners that they say, for instance, build a deck or something that is considered a different use?
No, but in addition of a bedroom or an Arthur Fonzarelli apartment above your garage that you add is a change of use, because your septic system size for a residence is measured on the number of bedrooms.
Not bathrooms. So if you
Not
have a bathroom-
bathrooms. You can have as many bathrooms as you want, but if you're putting a bed in there, then it's a bedroom, and the number of bedrooms is what governs how big your septic system has to be. And adding a bedroom is a change of intensity.